This Craftsman Truck Series Playoff Prediction Edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by the SGPN merch store. 15% off of everything when you use promo code playoffs.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
As we draw ever nearer to the cars on the track, there are still plenty of racing things to talk about. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Cody, I mean, listen, this time next week, we'll have already had Clash odds, Clash picks. I mean, this is it, man. We are in the home stretch. It is Thursday as we record this, and we are in the home stretch, my friend.
We've made it. We've arrived. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Old-fashioned football already in the chat. Shout out to them. Couldn't chat on mobile. Thought maybe you guys banned us from the chat. We thought we did too, but apparently not. Just
that guy's fired.
I know Justin's just waiting to get his Jack Wood comments in and waiting for us to discuss Jack Wood because that's his favorite truck series driver. He also says, "Dang, Rod's looking sharp in the plaid. My beard's looking sharp. I can tell already you guys are going to win me a lot of money just looking at you." This must be Miranda. I mean, way too nice in the comments for it to be Justin. Definitely Miranda commenting on our looks. Likely Miranda. It would make sense. So we're going to go with that.
I love it. Yeah, listen. So the thing about it, too, is that we were having so much fun on our YouTube part of this as well. And we want this channel to continue to grow. So this will be my only pitch to you today to jump on this. I know we always talk about it early on as far as you should be watching on YouTube, and you should be watching on YouTube. But I understand that a lot of folks don't necessarily consume their content on YouTube. So for those of you who are OG watchers and listeners, actually listeners, I suppose, of the feed, continue to do that because again, we are on to some big and great things over the course of this season, especially Dos Flacos in the chat saying, "Cheers, boys." Yes.
Cheers, Dos Flacos.
I don't have my green drink because it's still the middle of the day, unfortunately, but yeah. All right. So we decided that we were going to go today and kind of conclude our championship drivers, our playoff driver prediction series with the trucks. We did kind of put it off a few episodes because of odds.
Because we got odds, which is beautiful.
and that prompts us. JDK, happy afternoon, fellas.
Hey,
Happy
JDK,
afternoon,
what's going on? Yes, happy afternoon.
So what we'll do is we'll do what we did with the Xfinity and the Cup Series and sort of go through who we kind of think is going to make the postseason. Obviously, we know there's a lot of changes in the Truck Series this season, especially drivers coming, drivers going, and it's definitely going to make an impact on the playoffs, more so than I think the Xfinity, obviously, which was actually hampered quite a bit by a few of the folks leaving there. But we're on to this now. And here's the thing about the trucks, right? We know that there's a lot of young drivers and there's a lot of old drivers. So the continued mix of all that always makes this an interesting series. So playoffs be a little more difficult to nail down, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's in the Truck Series. I mean, again, in the Cup Series, we get to pick 16 drivers. That was hard enough. Cuts down to 12 in the Xfinity. In the trucks, it's only 10 drivers. So, you kind of look at some of the regulars. I mean, I've basically got 7 guys that are locked in mine. So really only leaves 3 open spots. We do have 3 open spots vacated from drivers that are no longer in the series that have moved up on or don't have rides.
Looking at you.
That's shout out to Matt Benedetto. According to him, Rod, had a deal in place, signed. He said the deal was signed, which I don't know how the deal was signed and it's not being upheld, because if it was signed, it would be legally binding. But anyways, signed, they were ready to go, and then they backed out, supposedly. So the one time in the history of Matt Benedetto finally bringing in his own sponsor, and they flaked on him, apparently, according to him. So
they did him dirty. They gave him a disappearing ink pen. That's what happened. They were like, yeah, let him sign it. And then 5 hours later disappears, and he's like, what? I thought this was...
they promised they would sign this. But anyways, that's funny. But De Benedetto obviously not going to be back, at least as of now. Zane Smith has moved on to the Cup Series. Carson Osvar has moved on to the Cup Series. So that's at least 3 spots that have opened up in the playoffs.
I'm flipping coins for those ones. Will in the chat saying, can anyone other than Corey Heim stop Corey Heim from winning the championship this year? Brother,
I don't think so.
I think
which could be the problem, that he gets in his own way, like he did it a little bit last year. Of course, Hosvar had something to do with that too. But Heim is, in my opinion, obviously everybody kind of already knows, he's the clear-cut favorite. Rod, today they announced as well, he is the reserve driver for both 2311 and Legacy Motor Club. He's going to be their simulation guy. He's going to be their reserve driver. It all lines up perfectly. Truex retires, John Hunter to the 19, and then Corey Heim going to slip right into that 42 ride. I might start buying 42 gear this year in preparation for Corey Heim being the driver next year.
I'm going to need you to stop with these nail-on predictions, because at some point I'm going to have to find a new host, because they're going to poach you and put you in a position of higher power.
Man, the writing has just been all over the wall on this one. So,
Old-fashioned football saying it's going to be Ty Majeski. Well, we have something to say about that too. I don't know. In the 19, Kevin S saying, I think Spire's going to have a great year. Purdy and Sanchez making the playoffs. Yeah, I think we can. That's part of the year set, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've got one of them for sure, and I don't know if both of them make it. Well, Spire is just such an interesting case this year across the board, with as much money as has just flown into that program, as much money as has flown out too. They've spent a lot of money acquiring all these things. So Dos Flacco's upset that I'm not mistakenly discrediting Majeski yet. Well, we haven't got to my playoff predictions, so you better stay tuned, because who knows?
Who knows, indeed. All right. Well, I think we should be able to just plow right into this and have a good time doing it. Obviously, we'll continue to take your comments and suggestions as we go through it. But let me tell you first about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, college football, soon, very, very soon, NASCAR as well. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite fantasy player stats and cash in. You can win 100x with some spicy plays. I keep telling you, I've been telling you all week long, whatever George Kittle's reception rates are, take the higher on. George Kittle coming in right now at 4.5 receptions. Please smash the higher on that one. He is going to fly past 4.5 receptions, maybe even in the first half. It's going to be a George Kittle day in the NFC Championship. And yeah, I'll tell you right now.
That way you have the correct code up there. Look, it
Thank
fits
you very
perfectly
much.
too. We don't even need a new graphic. We just need old-fashioned football to comment every time.
That's yeah, it covers it right up. So watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. And when you sign up with the promo code RACE SGPN, RACE RACESGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit of up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code RACE SGPN.
Absolutely beautiful, Rod. Love it. I have an Underdog article out right now. Defensive plays for the week. That's you can find that over on sportsgamblingpodcast.com for the NFL, for the championship games. Offensive, I believe that's coming out tomorrow. So it's in the bank, ready to go. We did have a couple more things in the chat. J Mark, hard to not like somebody with the last name Purdy. I'm still confused if they're Iowa fans or Iowa State fans, but whatever. Will Spire run 2 or 3 trucks? I don't really know. Nobody knows, because technically the Sanchez truck is a Rev Racing truck. The 77, which is Chase Purdy, will be a full-time Spire truck. And then we assume that they run the limited truck, whether that's still the 51. I don't really know if they've announced plans that I've seen anyways. Kyle Busch, had said he was going to run 5 races for them. So I don't know that we still have a full grasp on what Spire is doing exactly. Greg says, man, if he doesn't win it all this year, including every race, that's a failure. Speaking of Corey Haim, I completely agree. He should win every race. So, yeah.
Listen, I don't sometimes wonder if Spire knows what they're doing. So I think Spire kind of is playing it all by ear. They got this big influx, right? And they're just like, what
do we do with all this? No, I don't know if you saw. I don't want to get too much into the Cup Series. I know this is a truck show. Chili's is going to be on Corey LaJoie's Daytona 500 winning car. That car is going to be so beautiful. I've actually already pre-ordered the winning edition of the diecast from this year's Daytona 500. So really excited about that. Make sure you get your Corey LaJoie bets in.
But you know what? Now everybody that watches the Daytona 500 with me is going to be subject to me going, "I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby." The whole race, and they're just going to tell me to shut up. So I don't know. That'll be fun. You guys are in for it now.
We do have old-fashioned football and J Mark commenting, so potentially it is Miranda or Justin is on both devices. Probably the more likely scenario, but he says it's definitely got to be Merck because he would have given out their code. Nick is inviting us to a Super Bowl watch party. I don't know if, I want to be with both of you guys when the 49ers lose. Just kidding.
Lord Almighty.
I'm just kidding. I might be rooting for the 49ers. We'll see who's in the thing. So we'll see. He says J Mark doesn't want to come over. He's an Iowa fan, whatever. So Kevin S says, as great as Haim looks, most preseason favorites and trucks don't ever seem to win it all. The playoffs are too chaotic by design. That's a great point. I mean, you look at Zane Smith last year, right? And it was basically the same thought going into the season, right? Was Zane Smith should obliterate this series. He should win the regular season title. He should win the championship. He should win 5 to 10 races. He won 2 races, and he didn't even make the Final Four, did he? I don't think. So it's a great point, Kevin. It's definitely not written in stone by any means. Haim does look amazing. I think he's really talented, but and again, that's what we've talked about when we went over the championship odds. He's like plus 250 to win. It's as much as I love him and think he'll win it, you can't bet it at that number because of the get to the final race, and then all 4 guys have a chance. We've seen it. Ben Rhodes has won it twice despite hardly winning any other races. He didn't even win the race last year and still won the championship. So, yeah, the old-fashioned football says go 49ers. I guess they're rooting for them. JDK says the 49ers have to make it first. Go Lions. Dos Flacco says the 49ers won't make it to lose the Super Bowl. I don't know if I think that means they won't make it to lose, but they're going to make it to win. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's this chat will continue
the chat's
to go
getting
on.
off the
chat's getting I love it. I love it though. This is what we're asking.
Yes, it's great. Love having the chat active.
Yes, because that is the behind the scenes action of it all. But let's turn our attention to the Truck Series. Let's go ahead and start talking about what we came here to talk about today, and that is, of course, the playoffs in the Truck Series. Who is going to make it? Who will be the ultimate 10 trucks to make it to the postseason? And we'll just do like we did with the last few. We'll start at the top, right? We'll go and talk about the champ, Ben Rhodes. I almost think this is just going to be a staple in the playoff conversation. I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to end up making it. The dude's won it 2 out of the last 3 seasons, right? He's just one of those guys that's going to be there. He won one race all year long and still managed to finish as the top truck in the series. 7 top 5s, 14 top 10s. Only led 112 laps, Cody, and he's the champ.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's the good and bad thing about this year, the playoff scenarios and how things work, which personally I really like. I enjoy it that way, and that's what you got to do to be a champion these days. And he's done it a couple of times now. And man, shit, last year even he was second place. I mean, had his teammate Majeski not spun out, he could have won it 3 years in a row. So yeah, you've got to put him in there. Again, he's almost like very much like a Joey Logano in the Cup Series. He's hard to predict week to week. He'll jump up and bite you. His one win this past season was the week that I talked shit about how he hadn't done anything. And then he pops up, wins a race, and disappears again until the championship race, basically. So he barely squeaked in, but hey, he's the champion. That's how it works. But yeah, I think that he's just a guy you have to basically write in pen. Very hard to see him not making it. So I think that Ben Rhodes definitely ends up in.
And he's at plus 625 to win the entire championship, which, you know, again, he's not even one. He's the first 4 of the favorites, but he's not even the top 2. And he's got much, much longer odds than a guy like Corey Heim, which, you know, again, he's one of those guys where he'll, like you said, he'll duck into oblivion for a long time. And you don't talk about, he's the returning champ. And nobody seems to want to talk about Ben Rhodes. And then all of a sudden, when it's time,
they never do. He always just pops up. Wonder, I don't remember what his. I'm gonna find out what his odds are again, because he might just be like, you just bet him every year because you know he's gonna be in the mix at the end, and you're gonna get to that championship race and you're gonna have a decent number on him.
Well, he's plus 625.
Okay, maybe not. Never mind. It's just,
I mean,
it's not. I don't know if it's sexy enough, but he's probably gonna get in the final 4. I mean, just based on his track record, so.
Hey, give him a couple of races. He may even extend his odds a little bit, and you can jump on it then.
That's one you'll want to monitor, because if it is like last year, where we get to the point where it's like, well, what has Ben Rhodes really done? And what did he go through 3 crew chiefs last year? Like, they were trying all sorts of different things. End up putting Luscious back with him. Hopefully that's his crew chief this year, because obviously that pairing seems to work pretty well. But yeah, I think he's definitely in pen.
In pen for sure, as is this next driver, Grant Enfinger.
Is he, Rod?
Well, that's true. He's changing teams. He's no longer with GMS because GMS is gone. But I've told you, this is where I think driver talent exceeds the equipment that he's in. So I still think he's a playoff guy that you could put in the playoffs in the postseason.
He's not one of my 7 is going to for sure be ins. He's on the short list of guys I think will probably make it. Just so many questions about this team. Grant is a very good driver, and I think that he's going to make up a lot. They've acquired some of the GMS stuff, but the team's just never been great in the past. But I do think that Grant being in there will make a big difference. But I don't know that it's just a shoe in for sure he's in the playoffs. I think he's more of a bubble driver. You know, is he going to win a race during the regular season? He could, but is he going to have strong enough equipment for sure? I don't know. I wish he would have gone to a better team, or if GFMS was still around and he was just back with them, I would like that so much more. I'm not completely sold on this team, so I'll put him in, but he's definitely one of my bubble drivers.
Well, okay, so it's CR7 Motorsports is the team that he's now with, but last season with GMS, won 3 races, 9 top 5s, 13 top 10 finishes, led 232 laps. And again, he was only a point behind Ben Rhodes when it was all said and done. I will concede, Cody, that he's got a very tough road ahead of him, and he's got several tough roads ahead of him as we look forward to these tracks. But I'll tell you right now, I really think that 9 truck is going to be a competitive truck because of the guy behind the wheel. You're right. He's probably not going to win 3 races. He may not even win 2. I do think he's got at least 1 win in there, and I think that's enough to lock him into the playoffs for sure. Where will that come? Well, there's plenty of super speedways still to jump on, right? I don't say there's not as many, obviously, as the truck and Xfinity, as the Cup and Xfinity, but there's enough wild card races, I think, in the truck series, especially with the younger guys that are coming in, to where he can put himself in position or at least outdrive 3 of the new guys to get in.
So I'm trying to look back. Colby Howard drove this truck last year. A very big talent difference. There's no question about that. But if you look, he had a 4th place finish at Daytona, which is a super speedway, so hard to exactly, really weigh that heavily. Outside of that, I mean, a 15th at Pocono, a 12th at Gateway, a couple of 17ths. Everything else is basically 25th or worse. Do we? I don't know.
I get okay. Listen, so for Enfinger, I give him at least a 3 or 4 place difference in those top 15s. Like I do think that he's a consistent top 10 driver though, and to me, like 13 top when the champion got 14 top 10s and you got 13 top 10s, that means you're doing something right, and that means that you're a good enough driver.
Yeah, but if you've got solid equipment in the truck series, and you're a good driver, I don't know that Enfinger is a great driver. I think he's a very good driver and a very solid driver, and so you mix that with solid equipment and you're going to get good results. I have so many questions about this equipment. I mean, Colby Howard finished 21st in the points behind Dean Thompson, Haley Deegan, and Daniel Dye. That's, again, I understand that there's a big difference in the driver talent and between these 2 drivers, but I just don't know if I trust that equipment. I still undecided if Enfinger is making my playoff field, Rod. I'm not. So the more I think about it, the more I'm almost talking myself out of it. I'm not set on it.
All right, fine. This is going to have to play out on the track for sure. One guy that I know you are not waffling on is the next guy on the list, and that's Carson Hocevar. Again, that was
nothing to waffle about.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing to waffle about. He finished 3rd. But see, this is a guy where I'm talking about. He's gone, right? He's out of this series.
Wow,
so
the chat's teaming up against me now. Everybody's with Rod.
Yeah,
Coach Flacco says he's with Rod. Justin says he's on Rod's side. Justin don't know what he's talking about, so we don't count him. But Dos Flacos is just, I think Dos Flacos, we need to get on cut bet here, Dos Flacos, and just have a bunch of head-to-head bets because I think we're on the opposite side of a lot of things this year.
Oh my God, that's going to be fun. These cut bets this season are just going to be.
Speaking of, just real quick plug for cut bet. I know we'll have them coming up here in a few, but again, like I said, working on getting some NASCAR stuff over there. I've been working with their admin side of things. If you've got a bet, you've heard me make a statement that you disagree with, Ty Majeski, Don't slack us. If cut is available where you are, shoot me over ideas of stuff you want to take head-to-head against me. We're going to try and they're looking for season-long stuff first to start with, kind of ease into it. But they're looking for ideas. So if you got something you want to go head-to-head against me with, hit me up in the Discord or wherever, and we'll work on getting that up over on cut.
Oh, that's going to be so awesome. We're just pushing the limit forward on ways to be able to bet on NASCAR. I mean, it's going to be great too, because
it's a great opportunity for stuff like he goes, I want a couple of ideas, and I'm thinking like, how am I going to just keep this to a couple ideas? I've got so many ideas. Like, somebody want to take the under on Tyler Reddick winning like 4.5 races. It'll be a little juiced up, but I'll take the over on that. If you want to play against me. Oh, so many things. So hit me up if you have some cut bet ideas. I know JDK did, unfortunately, not available in Kansas or in Canada. So we'll work out our own thing. But yeah, hit me up if you got ideas.
Well, speaking of Cut, let me tell you all about Cut. If you don't know what we're talking about, Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Peer-to-peer social betting is brand new and a better way to bet. You can bet directly against your friends or take on the whole damn chat and and other sports on not just NASCAR, but football, baseball, whatever, all kinds of other sports that are out there. And listen, politics, pop culture, other events, as long as it's got a verifiable outcome and we can cut up with ideas on how to bet on them, it's going to happen for you. Tons of social features also that give it the feel of a betting social network. Plus, Cut offers the lowest VIG, fully customizable odds. We can even set our own odds. That's the, man, I'm telling you, this is the mind-blowing part of this world that we live in, is now we're not beholden to the books for all of our odds. We can set our own damn odds, create our own damn bets, be the masters of our own damn finances. Plus, Cut handles the payment side of things. You got to never have to chase anybody down for money again. Social features like group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and so much more. And the best part of it all, you get rewards. You get cash back every single time you bet against your friends or other users. Reminder that Cut is the peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and legal in 40 states. Head to cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. You can enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool. You're going to get hit rates broken down by leg as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Help us kick every other show in the network's ass. Buy all of our merch. The Racing Gambling Podcast merch is on sale now in the merch store. Head over there right now. And just because I love each and every one of you, I'm going to give you a code that is going to work, that's going to give you 15% off of everything you buy for the rest of this month. Hurry up. Time is running out to use this promo code and to load up on all of your favorite Racing Gambling Podcast merch. Look, I'm giving you permission to buy other merch as well, because really we just want to move merch. So if you want to buy yourself an old-fashioned football glass or whatever you want to buy, go ahead. I won't hold it against you, but make sure the bosses know that we sent you and that you are buying it courtesy of us at the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. That way we get the credit for it. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to look sexy, just like Cody did the other day in his brand new hoodie, in his brand new hat. You are going to have coffee that tastes exactly like it came straight from the bean by drinking out of your NASCAR or your Racing Gambling Podcast mug. It all just adds up. Just do it. Have some fun. Thank me later. Use the promo code playoffs. Get all that discount, and we love you. Look at that.
Sorry, just drinking out of my NASCAR gambling. I got college experience shirt on as well. So
company man.
Yeah, make sure you support those guys. Let's catch up on the chat real quick, Rod. J Mark is looking very obsessed with the Wood, looking for lines for Jack Wood to win. Is he that bad? Yes is the answer. He is that bad. He's also only running part-time, so that's why you can't find full-time odds. Will is giving us his playoff predictions: 11, 19, 38, 88, 98, 99, 77, 52, 42, and 25. I'm going to disagree with you on a couple of those, but that's all right. Let's see. J Mark wants a Rod versus Cody beer drinking contest.
Ooh.
I don't know if we want to do that to Rod.
No.
I am a professional beer person and a lot bigger than Rod, if nobody's noticed that. And hey, NFL
hard to
news,
tell on the screen.
Where is Bill Belichick? Why does nobody want Belichick? I don't understand. Bring him back to New England. It's fine. We'll take him back. Falcons are hiring Raheem Morris, I guess. Nick, I know he ordered a NASCAR Gambling Podcast hoodie. Appreciate that. Yeah, anyways. All right, let's get back to the truck stuff.
All right, so we skipped over Carson because Carson has skipped out of town as far as the Truck Series is concerned. But that frees up 4 wins, right? The most wins in the Truck Series last season. 11 top 5s, 13 top 10s. Although he did have 4 DNFs, which cracks me up. But
he made us so much money last year.
God,
He might have been our most profitable Truck Series driver.
Yeah,
I feel like we were on him for like all 4 of those wins.
Yeah, but
and
again,
some other spots.
That sort of frees up the opportunity for a guy like this next guy on the list, Corey Heim.
Should we just knock the next 2 out and move on, Rod?
Sure. Corey Heim, Christian
Heim,
Eckes.
Christian Eckes. I mean, these are going to be the best two drivers in the series this season. They are absolute locks to get in. Again, I think that these are your likely two regular season champion contestants. They're clearly the best regular, every week drivers in the Truck Series, in my opinion. I don't think there's really much of a question there. So Heim and Eckes are locked in for me.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to argue with you on that one. Again, Corey Heim, 3 wins last year, 12 top 5s, 19 top 10s. Just a dude that was, what is it there? So it's like 22 races in the Truck Series, and he finished in all. He finished inside the top 10 in all but 3 of those. So
yeah, it's just so good. And then Eckes, we've gushed over him all off season too. One thing I did want to go back. So we talked about Hocevar leaving. Do you want to talk about his replacement in the 42, or do you want to hit that afterwards?
Let's hit that afterwards, because I don't. It doesn't make. I mean, it doesn't move the needle on playoffs, does it? To you?
Well, to me, it doesn't. Will's got him making it, I believe, on his playoff field up here. He does have the 42 making it.
True.
I don't, but who knows?
Okay, let's talk about one Nicholas Sanchez. Then 2 top 5s, 12 top 10s, no wins, 309 laps led last year. This is interesting because, again, it's not the same, right? Nick Sanchez is not where he was. So,
well, it is, but it's not. I mean, he's still with Rev Racing, and so I don't really know that much changes there. Spire is now kind of the parent team instead of KBM, but I don't know that much changes. Sanchez is locked in for me too. I think that we saw a ton out of him last season. There is potential for a massive step forward. I think that of that Spire group, even though he's not technically in a Spire truck, he's kind of the lead guy, I think. I've got him in. I don't see Purdy getting in. We'll maybe touch on him in a bit in the other Spire truck. But I think Sanchez is in. I think that what he showed last year was super impressive, and I think that he'll end up making the playoffs again.
all right, so he's one of your 7 for sure then, right?
Yes, yep. He's one that I got the lock symbol next to. He's in.
Beautiful. All right, well, got to toss Zane Smith out, unfortunately. Man, I'm gonna miss him because you knew my
get him in the Cup Series.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna miss him down here toiling in the
We'll see if he can not get sent to the back on every single 5 minutes in the Cup Series. But
and there goes Zane Smith to the back again.
I will miss that joke this year.
Yep.
Oh well.
So that frees up 2 wins. We talked about it in the wins episode, 10 top 5s, 10 top 10s as well. So let's move on to Ty Majeski, right? In that 98 truck Thor Sport. We think it's going to be tough this season, but you're not necessarily huge on the Ty Majeski part of it still.
Yeah, I don't think championship. Dos Flacos again. Here we go. He's just been waiting for that, just waiting for this part. He's probably had this locked in, this comment ready to go, just waiting to hit the send button. Here we go. Majeski to win IRP, Milwaukee, and Homestead Pennant. I don't know about all that, but he is going to make the playoffs. He's one of my 7 as well. He is a solid driver on a solid team. Again, how much of an advantage were they getting? He only had 1 win despite that whole section of the season where it was like, oh my God, look at Majeski go. It only resulted in 1 win. It resulted in us making a lot of money because I kept fading him every week because he wasn't winning when everybody thought he was going to, which was absolutely beautiful. Maybe we'll get that again this year. But yeah, not in on him as far as championship odds or win total, but he is going to make the playoffs. So he's one of my 7 that I've got written down as well.
Well, and it's crazy because despite all of that, he still made the playoffs, which I guess maybe touches on the wild craziness that is the Truck Series. You know, the mix of old and young that you get, and sort of the drivers that come and they go. But there's a core of, and there's not many that I feel like are core truck drivers. You know what I'm saying? Like it's weird. That series is so weird. Because everything is on a smaller scale, but
there's a handful. You got your end fingers, you got your Craftmans, you got your Friesens. Those are guys that are just going to be roads, just going to be in the Truck Series forever, really. But
well, then let's talk about
Majeski's. His path has been interesting. He was on the come up at one point. I mean, he's with that Roush 60 program, fast track to the Cup Series. Program folds, kind of just disappears for a while. Does the iRacing thing, does the short tracks, worked his way back up, and it's been impressive. How much of it was when they were cheating, we don't know. But yeah, again, he's in the playoffs. So
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with you on that one. I actually do think that he's going to be in for a much better. I think because he doesn't have to deal with the likes of Hocevar and Smith. I think he may have a little easier of a time, maybe not getting himself into so much trouble. Let's talk about Matt Crafton. You talk about a dude that's been around for a long time and ain't going anywhere himself. 2 top 5s, 9 top 10s, 2 DNFs. Tail end of the playoffs last year. Does he make it to the playoffs again this year?
I think he's out this year. He barely just squeaked his way in. I've got other guys that are going to make this in. 3-time series champion. He's great. He's still with ThorSport. We know how solid the equipment is. He's definitely hit that. He's on the backside, right? He's hit that age where the decline is very obvious. And it just he's starting to lose it a little bit. He's starting to fall off. Just barely squeaked into the playoffs last season. I mean, came down to the final race. I don't think he's going to get back in this season. I mean, there's some other guys on this list that I think are going to continue to be up and comers, and I think that Crafton is going to be on the outside of that, looking in. So I think that Matt Crafton misses the playoffs. Is he back for 2025? He's getting near the end, I think, and I think that missing the playoffs will maybe spark moving that forward even more.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's tough for Crafton because we didn't even think that he was going to make it in the first place. Like, it was very difficult to see a path, and then he ended up getting there, pointing himself in, obviously, but it's just, yeah, it wasn't an exciting way to get in for Matt Crafton, and more often than not, you were looking up at the ticker going, oh, he's there? And that had two meanings. One, you were surprised that he was up front, right? Or one, you were surprised because he wasn't up front. So it was definitely crazy. All right. Speaking of a guy who we're going to be looking up at the ticker and wondering where he's at, Matt DiBenedetto, unless of course somebody gives him a ride in a snowplow. I think that'll be the only place he gets an opportunity to drive this year.
Oh, well, apparently if you drive a snowplow in Lincoln, you can just run over anything you want and the police don't care. So
sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up.
Thanks for itching that sore, Rod.
Sorry. We won't go into further detail. If you want it, you can find us on Twitter.
You find my ex, you can see the video of them running over. And then the police told me today that snowplows hit a lot of things, quote unquote. So beautiful. I guess that means that they can just get away with it. So cool.
Beautiful. Matt DiBenedetto can't get away with much anymore. He's not driving.
Maybe they'll find that invisible ink revealer. Maybe this is like this feels like a old YouTube thing my daughter used to watch where like it gets down to the final minute and then like, oh, here he comes running in with the magic stuff and it reveals the ink and the contract holds and oh, here's the sponsor. No, just kidding. I don't think we're going to see. Maybe we'll see him some part-time stuff. I don't think he's going to run full-time, so not really. We've talked about him too much at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say he definitely won't point himself in, even if he does. So not in there.
Yeah, because he's not going to be in a good truck even at this point. And he barely made it in a decent truck last year. Yeah, that's not going to be him.
Nope. But what about Chase Purdy? Chase Purdy was next in that number 11, or the number 11 spot, not the 11 truck. The 4 truck is what he was in. But yeah, I mean, Chase, can I interest you in some Chase Purdy?
Well, I mean, he didn't make it in KBM equipment. So now being Inspire equipment, it's the same team, right? Inspire, in theory, is putting more money behind it, but we're kind of confused as to what exactly is going on with their truck program, and yet it seems like their better driver is the guy in the sister team with Rev Racing, Sanchez. So I don't know. Purdy's a guy. He's been around in the truck series for a long time. Kind of got his bigger chance in KBM equipment. Didn't do a ton with it. I don't know that we're going to see some big step this year. The equipment's good enough that potentially he is one of those guys that fills, one of these extra spots. He's on the short list of could maybe make it, but I don't have Purdy making it.
I think, well, you're right on all fronts as far as this is concerned, but it just, to me, when you take out guys like DiBenedetto and Hocevar and Majeski, I mean, I know, that's 3 right off the jump. You don't think Crafton's going to make it, so that's 4 spots already that you're giving up. As you scroll down this list a little bit more, I mean, I can make cases for another 3, which means
you're not thinking about the new people, Ron. That's the thing. We got some new people on here.
We do have some new people. that could do it. So, all right, well, then let's talk about an old guy in Stuart Friesen. He finished 12th on the list, 5 top 5, 7 top 10s. I love Stuart Friesen, but
I'm opposite on where I am with Crafton with Friesen. Even though he's getting older, I mean, dude races just as much as Kyle Larson does, basically. He's in a car somewhere every night of the week. He's a true racer through and through. Almost made the playoffs, right? It was really close. They just caught a lot of bad breaks last season. I think that Stuart Friesen is back. Actually, I did have him as one of the bubble guys, but I'm putting him in. He's going to be my 8th driver in the playoffs now. So I do see Stuart Friesen finding a way back into the playoffs this year. I don't think that he's gone over that cliff just yet. I think that's still a very solid team. I think that, yes, last season was just real bumpy for them. And hopefully they get that ironed off this offseason. The crew chief thing was kind of a big debacle last year. Didn't really work out. I think they were kind of trying to have Stewart call stuff from in the truck. Maybe that didn't work so well. I don't know. Do they have a? Oh, they don't. Yeah, they did hire new crew chief Jimmy Villanova, something like that. But hopefully that will help.
For his sake, I hope it does. For our sake, I hope it does, because he's my favorite Canadian driver that's actually from Canada. So I need something.
Do you see him making it, Rod?
I don't know.
You're not a soul. Oh man, that scares me now. Rod is like one of the biggest Friesen fans around, and he doesn't even know.
Listen, my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yeah. So I don't know.
I think Friesen makes it. Kevin S in the comments. I think speed has always been Purdy's biggest hurdle. Investment Spires should help him out a lot. There's definitely a case to be made there, right? Again, KBM just wasn't what KBM was with Toyota last year with Chevy. Maybe Kyle already had one foot out the door. They sell to Spire. Spire comes in, ups everything, and all of a sudden the team is back near the top. It's very possible. Are they getting more Chevy support now with GMS gone? That is potential as well. So he's definitely a guy that has to be on the bubble, I think, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Dos Flacco wants to know if they've announced any of Jesse Love's truck schedule. Put money on him. That'll be interesting. Obviously, he's left the Toyota camp, so he's not going to be in one of those. Toyota seems to have more like part-time rides. Does he maybe get in on the Spire? I don't know what Spire's relationship is with RCR, because he's driving for RCR in the truck series or in the Xfinity series. I don't know, but yeah, if Jesse Love's running trucks at all, we'll probably be betting on him, because I think that will be a good spot. We'll see what truck he may end up in, but he'll likely be a guy we would talk about.
Yeah, but definitely not to make the playoffs, I think, in our world. So,
well, yeah, and he's not. He'll be full Xfinity. So,
yeah. All right, let's talk through the next couple. Jake Garcia, I saw in the chat. Somebody said Jake Garcia.
Dos Flacos and I are on the same page here. Jake Garcia, he is one of my my original 7, locked in. Rod, big season ahead for Jake Garcia. Very excited for this young man. I think that if I was giving out a surprise of the year award in the preseason, I would say that he's the guy I'm calling my shot on to be the big guy that people didn't really see coming, and they're going to be like, whoa, this kid really has a lot of talent.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that aspect as well. I mean, we talked about it too in the win total, in the championship odds. Definitely going to be a spot for Jake Garcia, so I think he definitely makes the championship 10. Let's lump the grays together. Tanner Gray, Taylor Gray. Do either one of these? I mean, I know which way you lean because you love yourself some Taylor Gray, but is it enough to get him into the playoffs?
Tanner, no. Taylor, yes. Taylor is he's one of my borderline guys. Actually, no, he was one of my original 7 I had in. I'm pretty confident on Taylor Gray this year. I think that he continues to kind of take that next step. We know how good those Tricon trucks are. I know that hasn't always necessarily gone across the board on them. Like the 11 truck is much better than the other ones for whatever reason, but I think that Taylor takes a bigger step this year. Again, I think of the brothers, he seems to be the much more talented one, and the one that's going to have the better results. I don't think Tanner makes it, but I do have Taylor as one of my original 7 locked in. So I really like Taylor this year. I think we're going to continue to see a big step from him, and I think that he will make the playoffs this season.
Well, And we saw both of them. They were always running, first of all, around each other. That was always the fun part, to see which Gray brother was going to finish in front of the next. And as they rode with each other all race long, but also, and they were always running within the top 15, sometimes in the top 10. So it's a very real possibility that one could point their way in, if not win a race.
And, keep in mind, he finished, Taylor finished 15th in the standings right behind Tanner, but him and Garcia as well, they missed the first 2 or 3 races of the season because they were not old enough to compete at the time. So they missed out on the points from those first couple of races. And like Jake still finished 13th, and that was, in a solid truck over there at McAnally. But I think in the Thor sport, it's going to be even better. And then with Taylor, he's going to have the extra races. Again, these kids are literally 18 years old, and they're very talented young guys. So, I like both these guys.
I can't, like I said, I can't talk you off of either one of those guys. So, all right, let's move on to Rajah Caruth. So here's where we've hit. We've hit that point now where I think we're just going to scatter some names out there, because I think we're at that point where we can sort of toss out a few wild cards that we think, because a lot of these top 15 guys are all pretty much, you don't need to go out on too much of a limb to talk about these guys. So where we're at now, we're into the part-time drivers. We're into the folks that are, trying to still find their feet in the series altogether. So Cody, what names are left on your list that we haven't necessarily talked about yet?
Yeah, I don't think that we've even got like any news on what Caruth is doing this year. You've heard some of the 17 car in Xfinity, maybe for Hendrick. I don't know. Ankrum is a name worth looking at, right? He's moving over from Hattori to McAnally. He's going to replace Jake Garcia in that 35 truck. They're renumbering it. I don't remember what number they're. It's going to be the 18. But so it'll be the old Jake Garcia team. Again, he's a borderline guy that you kind of got to keep an eye on, but probably not going to make it. Daniel Dye's a no. Deegan has moved on. Dean Thompson, I think, is actually – there's potentially some spot bets that we're going to place on Dean Thompson this season. He really showed a lot of speed last year, just not the ability to finish. Again, that's a Tricon truck. Making the playoffs, I think, is a little bit too big of a step, but I think he's a guy we're going to bet on a couple of times. So I think that will be interesting. Really, after that, I mean, nobody's really even worth having a conversation on as far as last year's standings. Now, there are a few additions this season, new drivers that we can definitely maybe talk about.
All right, well then let's I want to hear who you are excited by, because again, we all know that you have a very long list of folks you're excited about for the Truck Series.
Yeah, I think Ty Dillon is worth mentioning. He's going to be in that 25 Rackley war, replacing DiBenedetto. DiBenedetto is one of the guys who made the playoffs last season. I'm really torn on how Dillon does in this. I think the Truck Series is a really good spot for him. Again, a talented guy. He's had a lot of good opportunities given his family, of course, but I don't know. I think this is a good spot for him. Do I think he makes the playoffs? Probably not. I have him on the outside looking in, but I think he is definitely a guy you kind of got to at least bring up. That truck did make the playoffs last season, so that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, and any truck that we can make the reverse argument like we did for Grant Enfinger, right? I mean, it's that truck didn't make the playoffs last year, so does he elevate it? So the matter is, can he keep the same sort of intensity in that truck that was in the playoffs versus can Grant Enfinger do the opposite and bring and elevate that truck into the playoffs? So, all right, who else you got?
Riggs, he's replacing Zane Smith in the 38 truck. He's one of my original 7 that I had written down. In my opinion, he's definitely going to be in. That truck has been strong for years. That's a very solid program. Lane Riggs, another young driver that's got a lot of talent. Dos Flacos in the chat, Riggs. He's a guy that's basically locked in for me. It's going to be a very, very good team like it has been in the past. He's a good driver. I don't really see them missing too much of a beat. Zane, only had 2 wins last season, but probably should have had more if he hadn't been going to the back every race. And I think that Riggs will step in and do well there. I really feel like he'll be an easy make the playoffs driver.
That'll be fun too to watch him just come in and run, right? I mean, there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot of young drivers that are going to come in, and we barely got to see flashes of them over the last couple of seasons, and in some cases just last season alone. So to be able to watch a guy like Riggs kind of get more comfortable in the truck series, yeah, I think there's some big things in the store for him as well. Listen, one more name that I'm going to bring up is that Tyler Ankrum. I mean, I bring it up with a question mark because
I sort of lumped him in when I was talking about the rest of the guys in the standings before. Again, I don't know. I'm just not sold. The McAnally Hilgeman equipment's good. We mentioned Eckes as being one of the top 2 drivers this season, but does Ankrum have what it takes to put that car in the playoffs? At borderline, I think he could be considered, but I don't think he'll make it.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else on your list that we have not covered yet?
Yeah. So I think Matt Mills deserves being mentioned. He's in the 42 car from Carson Hocevar, one of the best trucks last season. Like you said, most wins, 4 races. I think this is the opposite of the Grant Enfinger situation. So the Grant Enfinger situation, you've got a really good driver going to a questionable car. How does that pan out? This one, you've got a really good truck with a more questionable driver, in my opinion. I don't fully believe in Matt Mills. I think the story is great. He's been, shuffled around and doing his thing and struggling, and he's got this opportunity now in a truck that was great last season. But I don't know. I just don't see it. Bailey Curry, his teammate, is also going full-time in the 41 for Nice. These Nice trucks just have a history of when there's really good drivers in them, Ross Chastain's, there's been some others, they really excel. But when the driver talent is not there, the trucks just look very average. And I think that's what we're going to see out of this. I have almost zero excitement for this Nice program this year, which is the opposite of, last year with Hocevar, loved it, right? And was so excited. But this year, Bailey Curry and Matt Mills just aren't doing it for me.
And really, again, this is a case of a driver just being flat out good. I think sometimes you see it more in these lower series than you do in the Cup Series, because when you get to the Cup Series, all these damn drivers are good, right? But in the Truck Series, there's ranging levels of skill. You've got the seasoned vets, you've got the kids coming in, just barely being able to drive a stick shift, let alone drive a car without parental consent. So, yeah, it's just a full range of what you have. And in this case, I think we saw the 42 truck be as good as it was, like you said, because Carson Hocevar was sitting in it. I don't think we see that again, at least for another couple of seasons. So Matt Mills, good story. Just don't think he's going to hit the playoffs.
Yeah. I think that really covers pretty much everyone. Brett Holmes is going to be running full-time. Not interested there. Thad Moffitt in that new faction 46, not interested there. Timmy Hill in the 56, he's going to run full-time. We'll be talking about him at Super Speedways, I can promise you that, but not interested as far as the playoffs go. I believe that we have covered every other full-time driver for this season. Just scrolling through this list one more time. But yeah, I think we've really touched on everyone that at least as of now, is going to be full-time this season that we know of.
I think we have as well. So we've done plenty of damage for the Truck Series and the playoff drivers. What does this mean for you guys? Well, it means that these are the names that we'll be talking about as we go on with the season, start forming our bets around. If we think they're going to be in the playoffs, 9 times out of 10, it means they're going to have a really good season. So we'll be building a lot of cards around what they do, which is why we bring these names up to you. Again, these off-season shows are more to help you sort of get your head in the game, get familiar with the drivers, and help yourselves,
Yeah, it helps us refamiliarize ourselves, right, with, okay, which driver is which. I always remember turn on the Daytona 500 every year, and you're like, oh, my God, Kyle Busch is in the 8 now. There's not an 18. Like, you got to reacclimate yourself to all these changes, and that's the nice thing about this is this kind of helps us break in. Now you're going into the season. You know who's where, which trucks they're in, which cars they're in, whatever the case may be. Rod, would you like to hear my official playoff predictions real quickly?
Yes, please. I would
All right,
love to hear them.
Here's my 10 drivers: Nick Sanchez, Corey Heim, Jake Garcia, Taylor Gray, Christian Eckes, Lane Riggs, Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, Stuart Friesen, and Grant Enfinger made the cut as well.
Look at you. Well, you had to put somebody in 10th, right?
I had to put somebody in 10th, and there's a lot of options and not great options. So Enfinger, I'm taking the driver, wins out over the truck.
Well, I am glad that you came around, Cody. I'm glad that I could at least have made that case not in vain.
Old-fashioned football wants to know what I would have done if Rod had told me he did not want to hear them. I know that Rod would not have said that when I asked the question. I already had assumed his answer. That was basically me inserting, hey, I would like to give this list, and Rod knows that. And if he'd have said no, I'd have gave it anyway. So, and I think Rod knows that, which is why he's just pigeonholed into saying, sure, just give us your list, Cody.
We're 334 episodes old. We know this.
We've spent a couple hours with each other, so we haven't figured out at this point.
I love it. All right. Well then, Cody, let's bow out then. Let's take this Thursday and the rest of this Thursday and enjoy it. We'll come back on Friday with more of just one more show for the week, and then Cody.
And then it's Clash Week. Let's fucking go. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
It's Clash Week. I cannot wait. So
beautiful.
A couple more wake ups, as we say in the military, and we'll be talking Clash.
Exactly.
So let's put everybody to bed for now, as we do, and as we
real quick, we got our Daytona 500 contest. Again, that is in our pinned tweet over on the X. It's in our pinned post over on Facebook. I can repost in the Discord as well if you would like. Real simple. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, which you should be doing anyways. Take a screenshot being subscribed. Go over, you click the form, put in your pick to win the Daytona 500. And that's it. That's all you got to do. The grand prize, $100 and a $100 SGPN merch gift card. There's been a couple of questions. If the winner is not picked, we will just go to second place or third place, wherever the top driver was picked. If there's a tie, multiple people have selected it, then on the recap show for the Daytona 500, we will put you all in a big blender and pick out a name.
I mean, listen, we won't put you in a real blender. However fun that would be to watch, we will not do that, but we'll definitely have some fun with that. The best part about growing as we have in the last couple of seasons is being able to do stuff like this for you, because now, thanks to all of your guys' support, all of your help, all of your downloads, all of your likes and comments and all that stuff, reviews, the bosses have taken this as a show that has a future. And so for us, that means we get to continue to give you not only our episodes week after week, day after day, but cool contests, bigger merch. Like it's going to be a lot of fun to have this season and see where this goes even after this. So I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Kevin S says, good talk, fellas. Good job. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you hanging around with us. Old Fashioned Football says they'll be the winner. Just nobody tell them that Jack Wood is not in the Daytona 500, and then you don't have to worry about them beating you.
I absolutely love it. All right. Well then, Cody, as we head out the door, let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Follow me on the X at Husker_Z. You can find all my work over there. Ton of stuff out right now. I had a cool article about that NFL jackpot slot machine that the guys are always talking about on the Sports Gambling Podcast. Wrote an article about it, so that's over there. Got the defensive plays for Underdog this week. Again, use the code RACESGPN when you're signing up over there. Get that $100, 100% bonus match up to $100. So that's a pretty good deal. And then, I've talked too much. Your turn, Rod.
You never talk too much, Cody. You can never do that. JDK, just one more out the door, wants to know when NASCAR fantasy.
Thanks I'm putting that at the top of my list. I'll try and have that this evening.
Indeed.
But hit me up in the Discord again to remind me.
Yeah, make sure you join that Discord, sg.pn/Discord. There's a NASCAR channel. There's an F1 channel. There's an IndyCar channel. I mean, there's other channels too, but really the ones you're interested in.
Those are the important ones.
Anyways, as always, follow me on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, whether it's in between media, Old Fashioned One More Say, great articles. Rod has a killer podcast with the AFL podcast. Yes, check that out too. We just launched the Arena Football League podcast. Yours truly is the host, and having a great time already. Got to talk to the commissioner right out of the gate. So a lot of fun to be had over the course of the Arena Football
Mr.
season.
Big Time over here.
Whatevs, man. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. So, all right. We'll see you guys tomorrow with some content that we're going to share. And then we'll be back again next week, of course, with Clash. So until then, let's go racing and let it ride.
Well,